Have you ever wondered why some people stay silent for years, and then suddenly become the center of a global conversation? Because sometimes, silence says more than words ever could. For over a decade, one man watched from the shadows as the world became obsessed with Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, and the endless controversies surrounding the royal family. He never gave explosive interviews. He never wrote a tell-all book. He never launched public attacks. Instead, he disappeared. But now, Trevor Engelson, the man who knew Meghan Markle long before the royal titles, global fame, and palace drama, is suddenly back in the spotlight. And according to growing reports circulating online, comments allegedly linked to Trevor have reignited one of the most controversial discussions surrounding Meghan, Harry, and their children. What did he supposedly say? Why are people paying attention now? And could Trevor's years of silence actually be the most revealing part of the story? Let's find out. Before the world knew Meghan Markle as the Duchess of Sussex, she was simply a young actress trying to make it in Hollywood. There were no royal headlines. No worldwide media frenzy. No royal weddings. Just auditions, career struggles, and dreams of something bigger. And standing beside her during those years was Trevor Engelson. The two met in 2004 and spent years building a life together while navigating the unpredictable entertainment industry. Friends who knew them often described their relationship as supportive and ambitious. They were building their futures side by side. Trevor was developing his career as a producer. Meghan was chasing acting opportunities. For years, they appeared to be moving in the same direction. Then everything changed. In 2011, they married in Jamaica surrounded by friends and family. From the outside, it looked like the beginning of a long future together. But just 2 years later, the marriage was over. And according to various reports and biographies, the breakup left many people shocked. What happened behind closed doors remains a topic of endless speculation. But one thing is certain. After the divorce, Trevor made a decision that would separate him from almost everyone else connected to the royal saga. He stayed quiet. Completely quiet. As Meghan's fame exploded worldwide and her relationship with Prince Harry became front-page news across the globe, Trevor refused to participate in the circus. Year after year, he said almost nothing publicly. And that silence became increasingly fascinating. Because the more everyone else talked, the less Trevor did. Then something unexpected happened. Years later, stories began resurfacing online about private conversations and comments allegedly connected to Trevor. Suddenly, the man who had avoided attention for more than a decade was once again part of the conversation. But this time, people weren't interested in what Trevor had done. They were interested in what Trevor supposedly knew. After all, he knew Meghan before the fame. Before the royal family. Before the carefully managed public image. And that detail alone was enough to capture attention. Royal watchers began asking a simple but powerful question. Did Trevor see something years ago that the rest of the world only noticed later? The discussion gained even more momentum when reports surfaced suggesting Trevor had allegedly shared thoughts about the challenges children face when growing up surrounded by intense public attention. The comments themselves were not explosive. They weren't angry. They weren't hostile. In fact, many observers noted the exact opposite. The reported remarks were described as calm, measured, and thoughtful. And that's precisely why they attracted attention. Anger is easy to dismiss. Bitterness is predictable. But calm observations from someone who once shared years of life with Meghan create a very different reaction. Especially when children enter the discussion. Prince Harry has repeatedly spoken about protecting his family from the pressures of public life. Throughout interviews and public appearances, he has emphasized the importance of shielding Archie and Lilibet from experiences similar to those he faced growing up. So whenever conversations touch on children, privacy, or media exposure, emotions naturally run higher. And that's where the story became even more complicated. Because around the same time these discussions were circulating, another controversy was already unfolding online. A simple photo. a seemingly harmless social media post, and a debate that quickly spiraled into something much larger. Meghan shared a family image that included a glimpse of her daughter. To supporters, it was an innocent family moment. To critics, it appeared inconsistent with previous calls for stronger privacy protections. The reaction was immediate. Some argued there was no contradiction at all. Others claimed it raised legitimate questions about where the line exists between privacy and public image. The debate spread rapidly. And suddenly, Trevor's alleged observations became connected to a much larger conversation. Not about royalty. Not about divorce. But about modern celebrity culture itself. Because in today's world, every photo becomes a statement. Every post becomes a narrative. And every public figure faces the challenge of balancing personal privacy with public visibility. What one person sees as a simple family moment, another person sees as strategic image management. And that's why the discussion continues. But perhaps the most fascinating chapter of this entire story involves just 3 words. 3 simple words that reportedly resurfaced years after they were originally sent. According to television personality Bethany Frankel, she once reached out to Trevor shortly after Meghan and Harry's relationship became public. Like many people watching the romance unfold, she had one straightforward question. Did Trevor think Meghan would actually marry Harry? His reported reply? Oh, she'll marry him. Just 3 words. Yet those 3 words exploded across social media years later. Why? Because many people interpreted them as more than a prediction. The response sounded confident. Certain. Almost as if Trevor believed the outcome was obvious from the very beginning. Some people viewed it as evidence that he understood Meghan's determination and ambition. Others interpreted it differently. But regardless of interpretation, the comment transformed Trevor from a forgotten figure in Meghan's past into someone many believed possessed unique insight into her personality. And that curiosity continues today. Because whether people support Meghan or criticize her, there's one thing nearly everyone agrees on. Trevor knew a version of her that the public never did. A version that existed before royal titles changed everything. Of course, relationships are complicated. People grow. People evolve. The person someone was 15 years ago is rarely identical to who they become later in life. That's an important reality often overlooked in online debates. Yet public curiosity doesn't operate on nuance. It operates on mystery. And Trevor's silence created plenty of mystery. Especially because he chose a completely different path after the divorce. While Meghan and Harry remained at the center of constant global attention, Trevor quietly rebuilt his life. In 2019, he married Tracy Corland. Together, they started a family and welcomed children of their own. No royal headlines. No public feuds. No dramatic interviews. Just a quieter life away from the spotlight. And ironically, that choice may have made him even more intriguing. Because in an age where everyone seems eager to share their side of the story, Trevor did the opposite. He walked away. And for many observers, that silence became a statement all by itself. The contrast between the 2 lives couldn't be more striking. One path led deeper into worldwide fame. The other led toward privacy. One remained under constant media scrutiny. The other stayed largely outside the headlines. Yet years later, their stories remain connected. Every time old memories resurface. Every time past relationships are revisited. Every time new debates emerge. Trevor's name finds its way back into the conversation. And perhaps that's because this story isn't really about Trevor at all. It's about something much larger. It's about perception. About how people construct narratives. About the difference between public image and private reality. And about how difficult it can be to separate facts from interpretations once millions of people become invested in a story. At the center of it all remains one unanswered question. Did Trevor genuinely understand Meghan in ways others didn't? Or has the internet simply transformed ordinary observations into something far more dramatic? The truth is, nobody outside those relationships can fully know. And that's exactly why the conversation refuses to disappear. Because unanswered questions often generate more fascination than confirmed answers. Silence creates space. And people naturally rush to fill that space with theories, assumptions, and speculation. In the end, Trevor Engelson remains one of the most intriguing figures connected to Meghan Markle's past, not because of what he said, but because of what he hasn't said. While others fought for attention, he stepped away. While others told their stories, he remained silent. And somehow, that silence continues to spark curiosity years later. So what do you think? Did Trevor's long silence make his perspective more powerful? Or are people reading far too much into old stories and resurfaced comments? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because sometimes the most fascinating royal stories aren't about the people standing in the spotlight. They're about the people who quietly walked away from it.